The 50th running of the Goodyear Knoxville Nationals is brought to you by Lucas Oil Products, made in America, sold to the world. E3 spark plugs with diamond fire technology. And by Goodyear Tires. The 60s were the genesis years of the Nationals, when Marion Robinson brought the racing world to Knoxville's doorstep. It was Roy Robbins winning in the inaugural race in 1961, using an innovative wing to his advantage. Wings were immediately banned, not seen here again for nearly 20 years. The Weld brothers from Kansas City, Greg and Kenny, were the first to dominate at the Nationals, winning 3 of the first 5 races. Topeka's Jay Woodside scored a breakthrough win in 1966 with fellow Kansan Thad Dosher in Victory Lane in '67 as super modifieds were rapidly evolving to modern-day sprint cars. In '68, it was Ray Lee Goodwin scoring the win. And as the decade drew to a close, popular Nebraska driver Kenny Greitz won the Nationals, but was tragically lost in a racing crash just weeks later. The first decade of the Nationals was complete, and another dramatic decade loomed on the horizon. We're back here at Knoxville, Iowa for the 50th Goodyear Knoxville Nationals presented by Lucas Oil. That is a look at the D-Main. They are lined up and ready to compete. Of course, the top guys trying to make their way into the back of the C-Main. But first, how about some highlights from Wednesday night's preliminary night. On the pole, Chad Kimmon on the outside. Brandon Wimmer, there'd be action right away.
3 cars get together in turn 1. Kemenall goes back to green, leads it, but look at Shane Stewart. What a bold move from the outside. Steals the win from Kemenall.
Also won the 360 Nationals just a week ago. Let's go to Thursday night.
Skip Jackson jumps out front on this one, but Luke Hall gets into turn 1 and turns the car upside down. Had a great battle for the lead. Donnie Schatz the inside. Sammy chops him off, but the yellow come out for Mike Moore, the 69 with a flat. Also the flat right rear. Donnie Schatz, a tire going down. He's losing ground. Brian Brown to the inside of Skip Jackson there. Schatz blows the right rear tire after the checkered flag, but Sammy Swindell finds himself in victory lane. He's been racing here weekly recently. I think he's got this place figured out.
Friday night was scheduled for a lot of racing. Unfortunately, we were rained out. So earlier today, about 12 o'clock, they started these guys again. This particular race was to determine the back half of the C-Main.
Very tough this weekend here at Knoxville. These guys battling hard, like you said, just to get into the middle of the C-Main event tonight.
The top 10 would do exactly that. The winner here in this particular race was Craig Kinzer, followed by Jason Myers, who had his fair share of problems earlier in the week, and Johnny Herrera rounded out the top 3. But it was the top 10 that moved into the back half of the C-Main. Here is your Lucas Oil 411. We'll explain this to you to show you what you're going to see here this evening.
This is what they call the alphabet soup. There's a lot of talk about that here at Knoxville. That's why a lot of these fans show up to see if any of these drivers can transfer their way up into the 50-lap A-Main.
And as you can see from the D, 2 will transfer, from the C, 2 will transfer, and from the B, they will take the top 4 to fill out the back part of the A-Main. And of course, then it's all for the money. $150,000 to the winner of that A-Main. Well, the fans, as you can see, are ready for some racing, as I'm sure you are as well. The D-Main coming up. Let's take a look at our Goodyear starting grid right off the bat. You have to take a look at the outside row there. Fred Raymer.
Yeah, Fred Raymer, the winningest driver at Williams Grove Speedway, but also Trevor Green on the pole, filling in for injured Danny Smith, who broke his back earlier in the year. It's kind of ironic because Danny Smith filled in for Trevor Green when he broke his back a couple of years ago. Look through the field here, a lot of good race cars. Greg Wilson back there, Greg Nikotenko, and Philip Mock, who transferred out of the E-Main. We'll see if they can go any further.
By the way, second-generation racer Robbie Wolfgang in the middle of this field as well. Of course, his father, a 5-time winner here at the Nationals. Trevor Green will lead these guys around out of Two Wells, Australia. 9 wins in the 410s. Got his work cut out for him here tonight if he's going to get up into the back of that C-Main. They'll be hawking him down.
Got to be side by side when they get to the white line right there.
Kind of.
Close enough. They go green flag. Now remember, this is only 12 laps, and only the top 2 will transfer out of this to the C-Main.
And Green looked like he'd lost just a little bit, but now finds it. Oh, man, talk about side by side. That is some great racing action right there. And, of course, right alongside him was the 28 car.
Jonathan Cornell, he's a local driver here, too. Man, he was on the outside. Trevor battling back up as he now still right behind him as they come out of turn 4.
22 years old. The kid definitely showing some racing prowess right there. Falls back just a little bit.
When you can see, Ken, the racetrack is what we call narrow. These earlier preliminaries, the racetrack hasn't widened out very much. The groove is pretty much from the middle to the bottom. It's a disadvantage for the guys in the back trying to transfer their way up through. You see Fred Raymer, a good battle here. That's Mitchell Dumsney, son of Max Dumsney, multi-time Australian champion, and has ran here at Knoxville throughout the years.
Fast Freddie Raymer, of course, so many feature wins, pushing the 400 mark at this point in his career. What do you got to do to go fast around this place, though?
Put your right foot down and kind of hold it there. That's pretty much the way the racetrack is right now. It's really fast. These guys, when they're not in traffic, probably running pretty much wide open. But the guys in the back, Raymer, some of these guys could desperately use a caution flag to bunch the field back up to have an opportunity to get up into the top 2.
Trevor Green puts a good amount of distance now between himself and the 28 car you speaking of before, and Jonathan Cornell out of Sedalia, Missouri. One of the latest hot shoes to come out of the Show Me State. Kid closing the gap a little bit, maybe.
He sure is, and doing it on the bottom. Now he slides up to the middle. It's like he slid off the bottom and lost a little ground there, but the racetrack right now, the short way around's the bottom, and it looks like maybe the fast way is Cornell slides past him and takes the lead.
Cornell's done a great job in the 360, stepping up to the 410s, of course, actually earned Rookie of the Year honors in 2009 in the 360s.
He got hung up behind the lap car, and you can see Trevor Green really close back on him. He's still having trouble, Cornell is, getting around the lap car in front of him.
All part of the fun right here. You've got to learn how to deal with that traffic. Does a nice job of it right there. Drives right underneath him and now puts a lapper in between him and second place. Of course, Cornell, while he may be a little bit safe, Trevor Green has to worry about that final transfer spot.
Absolutely. Now he finds himself back in second, and I'm sure he doesn't know how close third place is, and he looks like he's having some trouble struggling with these lap cars.
By the way, in third place, the 51 car of Fast Freddie Raymer. Raymer out of Salfordville, Pennsylvania.
One spot out of the transfer. Not going to make it unless he can get by it. The white flag is out.
Raymer has won 2 features here in Knoxville throughout his career. That's your leader, the 28 car. Right behind him, the 4 car, the final transfer spot. That black 4 car is a lapper. And come around for the checkered flag. It will be Jonathan Cornell who hangs on for the win. And the final transfer spot going to Trevor Green. And you know, we talked about this before at this particular event. There are no provisionals here. That is your final transfer spot, the white number 4 there, and Trevor Green to start off on the pole. But there are no provisionals here. If you want to make the A main, there's only one way there.
That's one thing about the Knoxville Nationals. They don't care who you are. You've got to race your way in.
Here's a look at your E3 spark plugs. D main results with the top 2 transferring to the back of the C main. You mentioned before some great cars down in here, but their nationals are over. Here is your Lucas Oil race recap. The 4 car led them to the green.
Trevor Green down the back straightaway had the lead, but he opened the door up in 1 and 2. Cornell slides by and takes the lead. Taking the checkered flag there, Trevor Green in second spot.
And standing down with the man that won this one is our Dave Argerbright. Dave?
Jonathan Cornell, you've won the D main here. Now what do you have to do? You tag the tail of that C. Where do you go from here to move forward?
Really, right now we're just going to have to watch these next couple sets of hot laps and see how widen up this track's actually going to get. And it's going to be real tough starting at the back. And like I was telling you before, anywhere else these C mains are like A mains, and it's going to be tough. But all we can hope for the best and try to get this Kiowa Line Builders, VKCC Motorsports, Jaeger Cycle Cells, Ostrich Powers, number 28, and try to put it forward.
Well, Jonathan Cornell got all those sponsor plugs in there. He's not done yet, going to the C.
Thanks a lot, Dave. And unfortunately for the guys that are deep in the alphabet soup like this, they also have to deal with a racetrack that it's kind of green because these things really develop over the entire evening.
Well, with a dirt racetrack, they put a lot of water on it early, and they have to run that in. Well, these earlier preliminary events, sometimes the racetrack's what we call not wide enough. The groove is pretty low. That's a disadvantage for all those cars in the back trying to transfer up through.
So it's tough. If you're deep in the alphabet soup, you also have to deal with a changing racetrack as well. It makes it very, very difficult to get up into that A main. But we're working at it. Those two guys just did a great job, put on an awesome show in the process. And, of course, our C main, well, those guys are warming up. That is next. Stay with us here at the 50th running of the Goodyear Knoxville Nationals presented by Lucas Oil. We'll be right back.